Hey guys, my name is Enoch. I had a near-death experience about 2 years ago, and I feel like God's been asking me to make this video for a long time now, and I want to be obedient, so I'm gonna do that. I'm not used to doing this, so forgive me. It's my first time, but I want to share this because it's so important that we do not waste this life and that we do not play games with God. Because as you look around right now in this world, it's not a game. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering, there's just a lot of poverty, there's hunger. I mean, it's bad. And I used to blame God all the time. When I was younger, I just felt like God, if he was real, was just an asshole. So, sorry, Lord. I just wanted to use that word because it portrays what I thought of him at the time. I thought that he was just some... If there was a God, first of all, I didn't believe in God. I think I prayed to God like 2 times when I was like 8, 9, something like that. I didn't grow up in a religious house. My mom always believed in God, but she didn't really go to church too much, and she did not have a relationship with Jesus. But she believed. She believed there was a God. She knew there was a God, and she prayed when she needed help. And she was thankful for the things that she got in life. My father, however, he was not, at least I did not see him as being religious. I didn't see him as even being a believer. He was one of those guys who cared more about, money, cars, women. I'm not going to get into that. My parents are divorced at a young age. And so I give you a quick background on who I was. I'm not going to take too long. I don't want this video to be more than 15 minutes. I don't want to. I want to get this message across. So I'm going to try to be quick and thorough. And if you guys want me to be more specific, I can make more videos. So I grew up. My mom and dad, they got divorced when I was about 7. I knew my dad for maybe about 4 years out of my life. Because when I was born, I broke my leg when I was like 1 year old, and my mom and dad left to go to Canada at the time, so I didn't see them until I was like 3.5. So I was only with my parents, with my mom and dad together for like 3-4 years. So then they got divorced, of course, adultery, cheating on one another, and and I just kind of grew up. I was a nice kid. I got bullied a lot in school. But I was the big kid who always got bullied. I didn't want to fight kids. I never thought that fighting was the right way to solve a problem. And I had a lot of anger built up in me. So I think really what I was afraid of was if I was to fight, I would probably hurt somebody. Because I wasn't a weak kid. I just wasn't a confrontational person. And what happened was I grew up basically atheist. Slash agnostic. So I guess in a way I thought, okay, well, something, I always knew that something created everything. I didn't believe it came out of nothing. So I'm not an atheist, and I wasn't an atheist because I never believed that something came from nothing. I believe that something created everything, but I didn't really I didn't believe it was God, right? Not the traditional sense. That was like aliens or something, right? But then who created them, right? So I don't know. Anyway, my mind wasn't on that. I grew up, my mind was on porn, girls, sports, video games. Later on in my 20s, threesomes, mid-20s, threesomes, drugs, ecstasy, Molly, cocaine, smoke weed every day. It's bad. That stuff made me feel so empty. Chronic depression most of my life after my parents got divorced. I thought I was a good person though. I was nice to my friends. I tried to help them out when they needed help. So in terms of like, looking around at others, never murdered nobody. I was faithful in my relationships. I wasn't cheating on my girlfriends while we were dating. I tried to be a nice guy, and compare myself to others. I guess I was a nice person, right? But really, what it comes down to after my experience, I learned that there is no one good, not one. When we compare ourselves to the Creator, we are all just dirt. So, anyway, let's get to the near death. So, I just wanted to give you that background on who I was, and that's just a really general. There's a lot more complicated than that. But anyway, so at the time, we were kind of messing around with drugs, and my girlfriend at the time, she, who's my wife now, my girlfriend, she was like, oh, let's do this one drug. And I'm not going to say what it is here on the internet because I don't want people to go and take the dosage I took to seek for this kind of experience. So we were supposed to have enough to do it like 2 times or 3, like 2 or 3 different times. So like this was for that time. We had it for 2 or 3 more times. But I guess I took the amount I was supposed to, the normal dosage, and I wasn't feeling it. So I was like, I'm just going to take the rest of it. So I ended up doing the whole, all of it. I ended up doing my share for the next 2 times or whatever, and my girlfriend's share, because she was feeling it. And I ended up doing the rest. She warned me, said, don't do it. She said, don't do that amount. You're not supposed to. It's not good because, they contain poison. It is dangerous to an extent if you take too much. And I just, I was trying to be macho, and I thought like, oh, I'm a big guy. I got a weight on me. I can take a bigger dose. I need a bigger dose. Big man. Anyway, so stupid. Anyway, so I ended up taking this large amount, and next thing I know, my breathing starts going. So it's like I don't have asthma, but I felt like I was having an asthma attack because I've spoken to people who've had asthma, and it felt like my breathing was slowing down, but at the same time I felt like I could not breathe. So I felt like my throat was tightening up, and I started getting really warm, and I started having a feeling of like dissociation, I guess. I was starting to feel really weird. Couldn't associate with myself, and I felt really out of it. I can't find the word. I felt like I was dying, and then I started freaking out. I tried to get something to drink because I was smoking pot at the same time when we were doing this drug, and my throat was really dry. But on top of it being dry, plus not being able to breathe, it was just horrible. And I started to feel like I was going to black out. I couldn't breathe. I started panicking, and then next thing you know, I just remember coming out of my body. So like, felt like I went whoop, just right out, like out of my head. It was weird. And I remember feeling like I was a part of everything. Like I was connected to my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time, but to my girlfriend, to my mom, to my best friend, to a tree. Like it was weird. I felt like I was connected to the whole environment, to everything. And which was the reason why I went into Buddhism after my near-death experience, because I felt like kind of what Buddhism describes, but it's not true. It's a lie. It's a lie from the pit of hell. Don't believe it. And I'll explain that later, maybe in another video. I'll go more into it. So anyway, so I ended up coming out of my body, and I remember looking down at my body, and I'm looking at myself, and I see my girlfriend next to me, and I'm like, whoa. Okay, what is going on? Like, how is this possible? How am I seeing myself? Because I didn't believe. I thought that when you died, it was probably just nothing. Just that's it, end of existence. So I had no idea I had a soul, and so I'm in my soul, and I'm looking at my body, and I'm freaking out. Well, actually, at the time, I wasn't freaking out. Actually, I was just confused. So as I'm looking at this, there's like a flash of light, kind of, and like a film reel opens up before me, and it's kind of like a life review in a way. And I don't remember it. I know it happened, but I vaguely remember it now. It's been too long. And certain things, when you come out of your body and you have near-death experience, certain memories are taken away from you. But I know that I saw my life flash before my eyes, and I saw like myself as a baby, and then up to that point. And then what happened next was I actually ended up going through a black tunnel. And as I went through this black tunnel, I felt like I was going down. And it didn't feel like I was going to like a different dimension or something. No. It felt like I was just going down, deep underground. Like going down, falling down. And I remember that, clearly remember falling down and feeling like I'm coming through a black tunnel. And then I end up falling down this pit. And as I'm falling down this pit, I'm looking up and I feel like there's like, it looked like the veins of a tree or something, like the roots of a tree. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like it was like a dead tree. Like the tree was dead. There was color, I think, in the leaves, but it was like so dim, the color. And it was almost like the colors were dead. They just were so faint. They weren't bright at all. There's like no life. And I remember like falling down, and then I just kind of like laid there on the ground in this, the best way to explain it was like a pit of blackness, just like a void. And and after that, I was just laying there, and I could feel the energy of my soul just like pulsating through. And I felt like my whole body was vibrating. And so I started to try to think, and I was like, okay, think, and my brain wasn't working. I had like no memories. I couldn't see. And that's actually the Bible. Actually, in the Bible, which I've read, it says that there's the land of forgetfulness. So I was in this place, and I couldn't see anything really, and I could not like think. So my mind wasn't working. Help me, Lord. Okay, so as I'm doing this, as I'm laying there and my mind's not working, I'm trying to think. It's not working. Like I feel like I'm disconnected from my mind, and I'm trying to remember this life, and I'm like vaguely grasping on to the idea that I am me, and that I had a mother, and that I had a girlfriend, and that I had friends, but I couldn't really make out their faces. And I just remember trying to hold on to that. I was regretting too. I felt like regret. And I just felt like regret, and I was regretting and what I did. I was regretting my life. I was regretting my decisions. And I remember just thinking, man, my mom and my girlfriend are going to be so sad. And I was thinking like, oh, please send me back. I just want another chance. And then it was like I just went right back through the tunnel. And then I went up, and then I just woke up in my body. But that wasn't it. Because when I woke up in my body, I woke up in the same bed that I was looking at when I was out of my body, right? So, but now I was in it. But I get up, and I look in the mirror to my left, because there's a mirror next to the bed where we were at, and I'm looking at myself. And I look exactly the way I look now, you know? And just as bad looking. So, and I'm like looking at myself, and I'm like, okay, I'm back. At least I thought I was. I was in for a rude awakening. I got scared out of my mind when I realized what was happening. I looked in the mirror. I looked in the window. It was pitch black darkness, no night, just blackness. And then I'm like, I get up. I look down the hallway towards the bathroom. And there's like nobody around. And I'm like, where's my girlfriend? Where are my dogs? And then I walk out of the bedroom. I walk out of the bedroom looking towards the bathroom in the hallway, and then I take a right. And at that point, there's the living room and then the kitchen to the left. And I walk into the kitchen, and remember, in the bedroom, there's like pure pitch black, right? It's just dark. And we have no shutters or anything like that, so you can just see out the window. It's just black. But in the kitchen, it's daylight. But it's not like normal sunlight. It was like white light, like bright. And then I got scared because I'm like, okay, that's not natural. And I started feeling like, wait a second, I'm still not in my body. And I started realizing I was in this house where I had died, but I'm not actually in it. Like, because I can, let me get my thoughts together. I don't want to take too long, but I want to explain this because it's scary. So I started realizing in my soul that I'm here, I'm not getting out. Like, I had that thought, like, I'm not getting out. I wasted my life. I'm here now. This is my prison. I'm not getting out. And I got really, really scared, and I had a lot of anxiety. And I started to try to go towards the window, towards the kitchen door, okay, to get out, because that's how you leave the house. And I couldn't. I felt like something was blocking me to go through the light. And then I felt something was calling me back into the bedroom, like a voice. But I didn't want to go back in the bedroom because I was scared because it was so dark. And so I was sitting there in the kitchen, just scared and just just sorrowful. And I mean, it was horrible. It was like torment. And I started crying out, like, help me, someone help me, please, God help me, right? We all cry out to God when we really need him. And my soul knew there was a God, and I knew I was not in right standing with God. I had messed up. I've done some stupid things, and I had never asked for forgiveness. I had never accepted Jesus Christ as Lord, but at the time I didn't know these things. I just knew that I was there because I did wrong. And so I called out to God, and what happened was I heard a voice, and this voice was my girlfriend's voice, and she was crying, and I could hear her crying and crying over my body, and I just didn't understand. And I'm like, what the heck? I can hear her, but I can't see her. And so I think, okay, I'm dead, or I'm in the process of being dead, and she's trying to wake me up. And so I start asking for help. God, help me, give me a second chance. And as I start praying, I heard a voice say, get up and wake up. And I don't know if that was my imagination or if it was God. I'm assuming it was God. I don't know. But I heard, get up and wake up. And I had an urge to start pounding on my chest. So I started pounding on my chest, and because you do that when you resuscitate someone. And so I started pounding on my chest. And at this point, I'm just eagerly pounding on my chest, hoping maybe I can spiritually resuscitate myself somehow. I don't know. It was stupid. But I'm doing this, and as I'm doing this, I felt like because I was fighting for my life, God wanted to see if I really wanted a second chance. And so even though it was silly, I was fighting for my life. And as I'm fighting for my life and pleading with God, I started to feel like I'm coming back to my body. And as I felt like I was about to come back to this world, I don't know how to explain it. It's like you're connected still when you're not fully dead, and it's like you have an ability to get back in. And I almost felt like I was going to get back in because I started getting glimpses of my girlfriend yelling at me, in the kitchen, at my body. It was weird. And I blacked out, and then I woke up in the bed again. And when I woke up in the bed again, I realized that I was back in that same house. It's dark outside, in the bedroom. I get up, it's light in the kitchen, and I'm reliving it all over again. And this was like Groundhog Day. It just continued over. I'll go through the same process, cry out to God, try to remember who I was, no memory, no recollection, totally devoid of my past experiences. Just know that I'm me, I messed up, and now I'm here. And it just kept on going over and over. And I relived this moment, this terror, for I don't know, it was between 8 and 16 years. It felt like forever. And there's no time. Time is so different when you come out of your body. When you are when you're out of your body, time is not the same. Time goes so much more different here. Over there, it's so slow. And I think God is outside of time. So I wasn't by God, so I wasn't outside of time, but I was in a very slow time. So everything went by very slow, and it felt like forever. So anyway, long story short, I eventually kept doing the crying out to God, begging the Lord, kept asking him for a second chance. I knew I had wasted my life, and eventually went through this process over and over again. And at one moment, I remember waking up in bed, but this time, It was daytime in the bedroom, and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, is sleeping next to me. And I get up, and I felt like so stiff. And I guess because like when your heart's not pumping enough blood to your brain, you're not, when you're like dying, you get like rigor mortis, right? The blood doesn't flow right. So I was super stiff. I felt really stiff. Like I felt like I was like a ton of bricks. And I got up out of the bed real slow, and I remember being so thankful that I was alive and given a second chance. And at that point, my journey started, and I started seeking God.